Against my better judgment, I'm back at Titanite Hill. The bugs are still as bad as ever. Usually I think they die down kind of in August and stuff. Maybe they're not as worse as the last time I went here. That was like the beginning of June, I want to say, or end of May. But I'm back here. I came back here because this week I have time off, so I'm cottaging with my family and I'm doing a bunch of rockhounding. And a fellow rockhound, an Ontario rockhound, asked me about this place. She'd never been here before, or she'd been here before, but she didn't know how to get to the hill, so I offered to show her. If she shows up, I'll definitely show her the diggings area. Actually, I'll show you guys something interesting. So last time I was here, I took that path there. You can see between those two trees, there's a bit of a footpath. Apparently there's a footpath down there that got cleared out a couple years ago when they were clearing out the trees. So I'm going to take that footpath this time and show you guys. Since I haven't been down that footpath, I thought it'd be worthwhile showing you guys for those who don't know about that footpath either. Here's that new path I was talking about, but it looks like since the last time I was here, a tree, you can see the stump over there. A tree fell down on the path. I mean, I'll still take it, but I guess I wouldn't recommend this path anymore. That's kind of funny. How things just so quickly change in like a couple months. I've been taking the footpath past that little hill over there. That's where the road is. And you can see the rains have eroded out this road. I think this was built by the loggers when they came in a bit ago and logged this area. But as I was walking up, I was just looking at the eroded areas, and look what I spotted right there. Nice apatite point. It's a bit of damage on the top by the looks of it. Yeah, just a bit. But altogether, for something that's just sitting in the road there, that's pretty good. It's pretty cool. I will get back to you guys if I find anything else cool to show you. I believe this is the main area where people were finding all that fresh mica specimens when the loggers had gone through this area. So you can see, look at, there's just this large trench, and actually you can see a bit of exposed bedrock where the erosion has eroded away, and you just got this massive lump of mica. Like my hand for size. It's pretty big. It's pretty cool. And you got other stuff here. You've got like your Amphibole, probably Amphibole diopside, maybe like some type of pyroxene, but I'm pretty sure that's Amphibole. But yeah, I'm gonna check out this area or go a bit farther up, I think, and just explore this area because I've never been to this part before. And if I'm not successful, I'll just go to the main digging area and look for some apatite. I've always had good luck with titanite at this place and never good luck with apatite. So this year, or this trip, I'm gonna try and aim to find a nice titanite crystal. Actually, check this out. Look at this. Massive lump of, well, actually, it's a lump of amphibole with just a massive thin sheet of mica on there. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, you can see there's more of it there. Guess this is the main trench people were digging in. Let's see what people were finding. Because sometimes you can tell in the discard piles what you should expect from a spot and whether it's worth it or not. So for me, I'm looking specifically for some apatite. See, like this. So I'm looking for bits of apatite to show up. If I see bits of apatite, like this piece, or like this tiny little piece, then it might be worth it for me to dig around here Though I'd like to, if I see bigger pieces, that's an even bigger, better indicator for me. So I'm just gonna kind of put my stuff down and look around, just check out the different spots to see what spots seem the most promising. And whichever spots seem the most promising, I'll start digging and sifting some my stuff and see if I can find anything cool to show you. Actually, is that worth it? Nah. Busted piece of apatite, but you can see there's apatite here as well as other stuff, so we'll have to see what kind of stuff I can find here. I have this plate of amphibole that's just stuck in these tree roots, but as you can see, it's got some good crystals on it. And I started kind of working at it. I busted this piece off with some good crystal faces. And a smaller chunk came off with some nice small crystal faces. And I think it's cleaved off now. I've cleaved off a chunk of it. Let's see. Yep. Look at that. Look at all those amphibole crystals. It's interesting. The top part is a bit more funky. I don't know if it's damaged or if it's just it didn't form as well. But that is an awesome specimen. There's some damage on the crystals, but most of them are pretty intact actually. So I'm pretty happy. It's a cool specimen for sure. So far so good. That's that amphibole plate that I pulled out. I trimmed it up just slightly so that it's just the crystal plate. There's the other big one that I already showed you, and there's a couple smaller ones that, one of those I think I showed you, but then there was this guy also just sitting off to the side. I think somebody dug it up and didn't realize what it was and just tossed it to the side, or they didn't like the look of it because there's some damaged crystals on there. But as you can see, there's Titanite right where my thumb is, and then right there above my thumb, that's a wedge of a Titanite crystal. But I'll take this home. I like it. It's a nice little combo. There's only minor damage to the crystals, so still worth taking home. And then, you know, the apatite that I found. And then I also found this nice little mica book. I'm a sucker for mica, so I always like taking a couple mica samples home with me if they're a nice shaped book. But I'm gonna, now that I've done my fair share of chiseling, I think I'm just gonna stick to digging. There seems to be a calcite vein here. You can kind of see it here. You can see where there was a big apatite in there. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna follow the calcite vein. It seems like it goes back there. Yeah, I think I can see it go back there. So I think I'm gonna dig in there, use my sifter. Already threw some soil in there, and just start digging and sifting and seeing what I can find. I'll show you guys if I find anything cool. I was digging a test hole here just to see if I thought there might be a calcite vein here. I was wrong, but it wasn't fruitless. My digging wasn't fruitless. I got this large lump of mica books. You can see the large faces. It's actually kind of nice. This side looks pretty cool. I like the seeing the hexagonal side of the mica book. So I think that's going to come home with me probably. It's a nice little cluster of mica books. So my digging wasn't fruitless, and I just didn't find what I was exactly looking for. This video is a second part to a trip I did to Titanite Hill. I got to explore two different areas of the hill. There was one area that had been cleared out recently by some loggers in the last couple of years, and this is where this material comes from. This was found in that area, and I found some interesting stuff, I want to say, and I'm pretty happy with some of it, for sure. Some very interesting stuff. Start in the back with the piece on the right. This is a large kind of cluster of amphibole and some feldspar some green apatite, some of its small crystals, some of its broken larger crystals, and then there's also some titanite in there. There's a kind of a busted piece there, but there's a blade there, there's a blade there, there's a piece there. It's all on kind of like Amphibole. Now this was a piece that I found that was discarded by somebody else, and I didn't really notice until I was cleaning it up, but whoever collected this in the first place and then discarded it later used a saw, which is not okay. Don't use power tools on public spots. That's against the rules, and that would be a quick way to close down a publicly available spot. Now there are some private spots where if you ask for permission, you might be allowed to use power tools, but the rules that apply to public spot collecting at public spots are different to the rules set by private landowners, of course. So don't use power tools. You ruin the fun for everybody else easily if you do that. But yeah, this is one of those clusters. It's interesting. I think some of this Amphibole, you can see this Amphibole here is a bit damaged, but it's might be undergoing some type of change to some other mineral, like maybe pyroxene. Though it could just be some type of Amphibole that is a darker green Amphibole. I'm not too sure on that, but this is one of the larger pieces that was found in the kind of the cleared out logging area. This was one of the clusters I got from the large kind of plate of Amphibole crystals that was kind of in the tree roots. This was one of the chunks of the plate that I managed to get free. It's got a bunch of Amphibole. There's some feldspar. There's apatite mixed in there. It's got a whole bunch of interesting stuff. You can see there's some smaller tree roots still stuck in there. I'm still slowly going through with like a toothpick and cleaning out crevices and then washing and then cleaning out again. But I thought I'd just show you this since this is like one of the last pieces I really need to do a heavy clean on still. But you can see lots of interesting Amphibole. This is a smaller Amphibole chunk from the kind of the tree root plate. This one has larger Amphibole crystals compared to that larger plate piece, which has a bunch of smaller crystals. But you can see there's some differences, and there's some interesting little bits and pieces of things that, is that a different mineral? Who knows? Is that Titanite? I don't think that's Titanite. It might just be a different variation of Amphibole. But that kind of caught my eye. Strange little... Because you can see this Amphibole comparatively is a bit more dull, but it could just be this is just a tiny Amphibole. But who knows? What's your guys' theories? What do you think that is? Just another type of Amphibole? Because Amphibole, really, for those who don't know, it's just kind of a blanket term for a group of minerals that are kind of in the like same family, quote unquote. They're chemically similar, but there's just slight differences. And so they're with those slight differences, you have distinct mineral species, basically. But these species fall into a wider mineral group known as Amphiboles, if that makes sense. Though this piece is small, I find it has a lot of amazing character to it. It's a small little piece from that tree root Amphibole plate, but it's got a lot of sharp crystallized Amphibole crystals, and just well-formed, well-defined crystals. I think it'll look lovely in my display case. This is definitely a piece I'm going to keep. But yeah, I just found it had a lot of character for such a small piece. That's the one thing about Amphiboles. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but sometimes you get these pieces where they just grow in interesting forms and manners that make the mineral specimen look very interesting and just full of character. At the beginning of this trip, my hope was that I could finally get a nice large double terminated apatite from Titanite Hill. I had plenty of luck finding Titanite, though it's actually rarer than the apatite there. I had found some good apatite pieces, but I never found one of those nice large double terminated ones that you see people find once in a while at Titanite Hill. And I was hoping to find one, but I didn't. But I did find this nice large, pretty well defined. There's a bit of damage on the top termination, but it is a terminated apatite crystal. It's just missing the bottom termination or the top. You don't know which way this crystal was oriented in the first place, but it's a decent size, and the overall shape of it is well defined. It's not too lumpy, so I'm pretty happy with it. And for where I found it, just right eroding out on the pathway up to the new digging site, or newer digging site, was a pretty easy and nice find to have. Now, with the newer area that got cleared out by the loggers, there's a lot of mica there, actually. So I found a couple mica pieces that I took home, this being one of them. It's a book, mica book, and you can see how sharp the outer edges of the mica crystal are. It's not whole. It's obviously cleaved off, and you can see there's a bit of damage. But on this side, it looks like the natural termination. It looks like this oxidized material matches the same kind of oxidized patina, or I believe it's oxidized. It's whatever this patina is. It's very similar to the outer edge of the mica crystal. So I believe this is probably close to the natural face on this side for this crystal, and it'll make a lovely little small display specimen. Now, this cluster of mica crystals / books is pretty awesome. Especially this area, I love this area without just the sharp faces of the sides of the crystal. Quite nice. I'm hoping that next year I can go back to the same area and maybe find one, like a cluster bigger than this or same size, with where it's all just these really nice sharp faces, because on this side it gets a bit less defined. You can still see kind of like the hints of the sharpness and stuff like that, but you can see it's less defined. And it's a lot smaller mica crystals, so it's not as sharp and stuff, and so it looks a little bit more globular. But I'm still very happy with this find, especially with the way I found it. It's a pretty interesting specimen. The bottom end is kind of, plain Jane as mica specimens go, but this side is pretty cool. I'll probably display it something like this, so that people can see this awesome section, and then kind of this section too. I think it's a very cool mica specimen nonetheless. I'm very happy to have found it. This brings us to the end of this video. As I mentioned before, this is a part 2 video of a trip I did to Titanite Hill. I released the part 1 video a couple weeks ago now, or more than a couple weeks, I guess. So please do check that out. I'll put the link to that video in the description for those who haven't seen it and are interested. Please also in the descriptions below, or not the descriptions, the comment section below, please do mention what your favorite specimen that I found in this video is. I always like to see that kind of thing. I like that kind of feedback and that kind of discussion in the community. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. And please, guys, just have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.